Hi, welcome to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm Justin Janowski, your host, and I started this podcast and I started this mission at Faith to Influence because my first two times trying to start a Christian coaching business did not go very well. I had one client, I was out of business. Then I had 3 clients and I was out of business. And a few years after that, after getting a mentor in sales and marketing, my business did over $250,000 my first year open. And now we've done millions of dollars in sales. We worked with over 1,000 clients. And I'm helping other Christian coaches optimize their signature offers, sales strategies, and marketing strategies so that they can scale their income and scale their impact and do it all with integrity and love. That's what this podcast is all about. And today I've got a special guest, Jennifer Elia. And Jennifer has been on the show before, so some of you have seen her first episode. She spoke at and sponsored our summer conference last year, CCA Live 2025, and she was amazing. One of my favorite things about Jennifer is that she is not marketing in a way that feels dishonest. She's not overselling. She's not using the world's form of marketing. She keeps things really simple, really implementable for new coaches to intermediate coaches. And she removes a lot of the fluff and gets right into the goodness of marketing with integrity and love. She also has this ability to prevent coaches from going too far, too fast, or skipping steps. And she sets people up for tremendous success. She's one of my favorite marketers. She's in our community. She's a friend. Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me back. I'm glad
Yes.
to be here.
It's great to have you back.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I was thinking about as we were preparing for this is asking you about your origin story as far as how you got into marketing in the first place. Why is this the area that you've kind of planted your flag as a coach? Why is this what you want to help people with?
Yes. So I had always wanted to be a writer. I wanted to live in a big farmhouse, lots of kids, and write and research from home. People told me it was crazy. Time went on, and I finally found out that you could actually do that. And I became a copywriter and studied sales psychology and all the different intricacies that go into writing for my clients, and kept learning more and more. And I realized at some point that what people were doing, and this was about 15 years ago, so when I started, and social media marketing was kind of new. So everybody was jumping on this bandwagon, that bandwagon. And I would study really hard on it and I would do it. And my clients were very pleased with the work I was doing, but it wasn't connected at all to their revenue. They were just chasing trends. They were chasing what influencers were doing. And there wasn't any of that connection. Everybody kept saying, well, that's because marketing in the 21st century is not like anything else that's ever happened. And I really had a hard time with that because I didn't fully believe it. So I dove into marketing because I thought I can't keep selling things that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, and realized that marketing really hasn't changed. Our vehicles have, but most businesses are being told to do the wrong things for building their business. And in the process of that, I was coaching my clients who weren't paying to be coached. They were just paying for me to write. And I realized that what I really wanted to do was work with these small businesses that were spending so much time, money, and energy on trying to do what the influencers were telling them to do and then not having results. And after I saw a few businesses go under because of that, I realized that that really was the mission that God put me on. And so I want to help small businesses, especially Christian businesses, grow because that's what preserves freedom and communities and family legacies.
Excellent. I love it. Okay. Obviously that's what everyone here is listening to this podcast for, so that they can grow, they can provide a legacy, they can fulfill their mission. And today you're going to be talking about how to elevate your marketing. And we're at the beginning of a new year as we're releasing this episode. Yeah. And so it's about elevating your marketing in the new year. It's a great time to plan. It's a great time to consider things. Yeah. I want to get to that in just a moment, but you said something about studying sales psychology, and that sounded interesting. And I'm wondering if there are 1 or 2 things that you learned about sales psychology that you could share with us as our listeners are, really here probably trying to figure out sales and learn how to do it with integrity, but also effectiveness. What can you tell us about sales psychology?
I would say the biggest thing, and where most businesses go wrong, is that we don't realize that people who need us, first of all, aren't looking for our title that we come up with.
Mm.
But they're also kind of stuck in a deep hole and they're frustrated and they're overwhelmed and they're tired. And when I meet with people, they're like, my people are tired. I'm like, everybody is. But those people who are in that dark hole, they can't make a decision to take a next step. And so your biggest job is to have them feel seen and heard, but also empower them to take that step. And so it's not really about the flashiness. It's not about a lot of what we're told we're supposed to do on social media or in marketing. It's really speaking to those people, having them believe that they can take a next step and it will make a difference. And then having them take that step. Now you can nurture them and sell to them. But until you get past that, you're just getting nowhere because they just are isolated and feel like nothing can happen.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is our goal is to help people believe that we can help them take the next step. And then, of course, to help them take that first next step. And that's going to build a lot of trust and open the door to the next step and the next step and the next step and all the future work we're going to do. And so for people listening, that's such a great simplification. Can you consider, where are your prospects right now? What's their current state? And what is the logical next step? And can we just help them get over that first line? And from there, the rest of it becomes a lot easier, right?
Yes.
Cool.
And realize that someone understands that they have a problem and they're not the only one that has it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not alone.
Yeah.
Their problem is common and it's normal. And that's part of, target marketing and getting to understand our prospects' problems so that we can identify the common problems and communicate about them in a way that people are like, oh, I thought this was just me. And they start to see that this is a bigger problem than just them. And it's a bigger problem. It's big enough problem, in fact, that it has solutions to it that you can provide.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we're talking about elevating our marketing plan for this year. And one of the phrases that you said to me before we began the call was helping people find the trends that are not trendy in marketing. Tell me more about that. What are some of the trends that aren't trendy that people should be engaging in?
Many of the trends actually are going back to what we were told doesn't really have to exist anymore in the business world. We have social media. We don't actually need to talk to people. We have sales pages. We don't actually need to interact with them. But people are much more skeptical than they have ever been. All the statistics are showing that people are taking much longer to buy, that they're much more reticent to invest in something, that they're worried about getting burnt. And they need to trust you so deeply. And so all of what we've been doing as far as, well, I'm just going to throw this out here and someone's going to click and buy, isn't working. What is working is building those relationships and building that trust. So networking, having actual conversations, interacting with people in a way that is much more personal than what we have been doing. And all of that sounds not trendy because we want to be like, the influencer on TikTok. We want to find this new platform and blow up. We want to have the perfect funnel or the perfect webinar. And those all work together. But if we're doing everything that we're kind of over here and we just expect our business to run, it's just not going to work in 2026 because people need more hand holding than they have in quite a while. And the businesses that are doing that are having the personalization, that are creating that personal brand, first of all, and having conversations with people, whether it's starting a post and answering people or having conversations DM, having sales calls, whatever it is, that's what's going to work in 2026. And that doesn't mean abandon social media altogether or, close up your online presence and just, start knocking on doors. But it does mean that you're going to have to stretch yourself a little bit and be willing to have conversations. And I know you're a big supporter of that too.
I am. And you're speaking my language. So what Jennifer's sharing is relationships and trust.
Yeah.
So important. And what I hear a lot of coaches I know wanting and searching for, and I see ads for this on social media, is just build a course, build a website and
Yep.
make money while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy. And
No.
of course, everybody falls into the trap of like pursuing the get rich quick kind of easy path that people promote online, of promoting on social media, building a website, building a course, and just people clicking and buying because it sounds so nice, because we can avoid sales. We can avoid building relationships, which feels scary. We can avoid the real conversations, which could present rejection or judgment and those kinds of things, at least in our own mind. And the truth is, those strategies don't work without the relational equity, without the trust, without the real conversations. And so language that I oftentimes share with people is, we need to have real conversations with real people and invite them to buy.
Yes.
And that ultimately is the whole game. The frequency with which we do that and the skill with which we do that is going to greatly affect our success more than almost anything else.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people want to take your advice and they're like, okay, cool, I'm sold, I need to build relationships and trust, what are 3 things they could do right now in their marketing and business efforts to build relationships, build trust, and begin to get closer to their most ideal clients?
I would say, first of all, look at social media as a personal branding and conversation starter instead of a sales machine, and not even lead generation so much, I don't think, anymore. But that's where you become human to people, and they get to know you. We're all very unique and we'll attract people, but you also get to start that conversation by building the trust and showing them that you understand what they're going through, and you're speaking what they're Googling at 2 a.m. is what you're sharing with them. So that would be the biggest thing. So that's why I say don't abandon social media, because it is still so important for people getting to know you and starting the conversation. I would say the second thing is, though, don't just post and ghost. You have to have conversations. You need to be getting into groups and connecting with people, answering posts, going to networking events. Networking is actually a huge business builder right now. I know some of us have shied away from it. I say this all the time. I am a terrible introvert. I do not like networking. It is hard for me. But it is definitely the best way to meet people. And if you can just get over that fear of nobody's going to like me and go out and start talking to people, it isn't really about I'm networking 300 people. It's like, I'm going to have a conversation with 4 maybe, or I'm going to build these small relationships. So that would be the other thing, is that find a way to network, and that can look different for all kinds of people. I live in rural South Dakota, and so my networking isn't like big city networking where I have these big groups, but I'm still networking on online networks. I'm networking in Facebook groups and alignable groups. I'm going to local events where other business owners would be. So there's so many different ways that can look. And I would say the third thing is, know where all you're doing, like everything you're doing, where it's heading. Sometimes we like to just throw things out there and just say, well, we'll see what happens. I just actually saw a post about this on LinkedIn. And we think, well, if someone wants to buy it, then I'll figure out what we'll do next. Experimenting isn't a bad thing, but when you're going to a networking event, you need to know, I'm going to that networking event because I want to meet this type of person, or I want to collaborate with this person, or I want to have conversations about X, Y, and Z. Same thing with social media. Like, I want to attract these people. I want to have this conversation. I want to offer them this product. And that's the biggest thing that's missing in a lot of this, like, get rich quick type of stuff. My son always teases me that he's like, leave the marketing scams behind. I'm like, I am not a marketing scammer. But anyway, I think that's what's missing, is we feel like, oh, if we just put these things out here, people will buy, and we don't have any kind of client experience or journey in mind. So always have a plan of anything you're doing. Don't waste the time and effort if you don't know where you're leading people and you don't have a plan for next steps. Or, I mean, you need to calculate that your time is actually worth more than money. And if you are spending 20 hours a day on social media, then you need to be making an awful lot of money from that. Yeah, those would be my top 3 tips.
Amazing. Okay, I love this. So reframing social media, not as like a sales machine or even where we're going to get most of our new prospects from, but as a conversation starter with people
Mhm.
who are working on solving the problem that we know how to solve. I
Mhm.
love that. So reframing social media, it almost takes a lot of the pressure off of social media also. Like, okay, I'm just starting conversations.
Mhm.
I really like that. The second is to make sure that networking is a part of the marketing plan. You talked about doing it online. You talked about doing it locally. You also came to our conference last
Yes.
year, met a bunch of people in person there.
Mhm.
And so for me, I'm thinking about things like that. I'm going to Podfest here in a few weeks. I'm going to be speaking on the stage there. And I'm like so excited for the networking and to meet new people. And so, I think if we look at it as three levels, is one level is what can we do online for free, easily
Mhm.
from our home office. Second level, how can we get out in our local community and meet some people around our house? And the third would be, strategically, different personality types have different capacities for this, but strategically, might we consider going to 1 or 2 or 4 or 6 events a year where we're traveling to conferences where our ideal clients are, and meeting people in person there too. I really like that. And then the
Mhm.
final thing you shared, I think, is one of the most important, which is beginning with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Not just because I see this, I see people wildly marketing on social media, and it doesn't seem like they have a plan, or they're going to an event to network with people, but they're not even clear yet on who their ideal client is or what problem they're going to solve. They don't have their offer ready to go, so the networking is a lot less effective. And so if we actually go backwards with this, we flip the three that you shared,
Mhm.
and the first thing that people could do listening to this podcast episode is get off this episode at the end of the show and say, okay, I'm gonna consider the end. Like, what's the end outcome? What's the offer I want people to accept? And is there a step before they get to that offer? Maybe it's booking a sales call or a networking call or a coffee chat, or maybe it's accepting a lead magnet, right? Like, what are the steps, the client journey you said, or the
Mhm.
client experience that leads somebody from meeting me to saying yes to my end offer? And then from there, how can I get in front of my ideal audience so that I can invite them into this experience in this journey? And a big part of that's networking.
Yeah.
And then if I'm networking with those types of people, to bring them into this type of experience, to get them to this ideal offer to solve their most common problem, what kinds of conversations should I be starting on social media that align with that whole process? Is
Yes.
that all making sense? Am I missing anything here?
No, I really think in 2026, building local networks is going to be important for every
Yeah.
business. I really think that that's a trend. And I think it's important following those three steps, not getting caught up in, we're in an attention marketing cycle. And so there's a lot of influencers saying, oh, just throw stuff out there and see what gets attention. And they call it graffiti marketing, I think is what Gary Vee calls it. It's such a waste of time because
Yeah.
yes, the algorithms, you don't know what's going to work. But if you are just constantly throwing things out there, you're not being intentional about it. And so
Mhm.
small businesses like who both of us work with need to be more intentional with that. And so it does start with that end in mind and being strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these things that you're mentioning that are trendy
Hmm.
and popular amongst the influencers
Hmm.
may work for the influencers who
Yeah.
have millions of followers
Yeah.
and millions of dollars to spend on marketing,
Yeah.
but probably don't work out for most new coaches, most new entrepreneurs. And for many of the new businesses, the trendy strategies
Hmm.
are burnout inducing, expensive strategies that are
Yeah.
not effective for getting
Hmm.
first or next clients when we're early on in the journey. And so this is a good word from you on not saying yes to all the things that are trendy, but
Hmm.
finding the trends, the actual trends that aren't so trendy,
Hmm.
like networking in your local community,
Yeah.
which I agree with. And like, I feel like I myself, a couple months ago, was like, I need to get out in my community. And I had my team and we did some research and I found some things to go to. And I think other people are like me. They're like, I need to get out of my basement office now.
Yes.
I need to get in the community and meet people. And so, like, I think there is a huge shift moving in that direction. It's maybe not as trendy or exciting to talk about as, oh, graffiti marketing online, but it's so much more valuable and so much more effective for a new coach. Do you
Yes.
have any final words on marketing, elevating our marketing? Anything else you want to share before we talk about your revenue blueprint challenge?
Um, But I would like to share one tidbit when you said about not
Yeah.
following the influencers. Gary Vee has 150 people on staff that work on his social media. So while he is a brilliant marketer and he definitely has skills and he is someone who can predict trends before they happen, we need to understand that what he is doing is just, like you said, it's just not possible for small or local businesses to aspire to. I would say keep your marketing simple. It is one of the things, because and I know this because I do this for a living of helping people plan out their marketing. And it's so easy to say, well, I'm going to add this and I'm going to add that and I'm going to add this and I'm going to go live every day. And then before you know it, you sit down and you look and you're like, I have no time to actually make money or serve clients. And that needs to be your priority. So I've been telling my clients that if you're spending more than 5 hours a week on marketing, you're probably spending too much, unless you have like a very large business, and then you probably have someone helping you do it. So I would say keep it simple, especially in 2026. Look for those relationships, and building trust is the biggest thing. I think the businesses that can build trust and build those networks are the ones that are going to make it through 2026 and thrive.
Amen. Okay, great. This has been so helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You've got a 5-day revenue blueprint challenge.
Yes.
How can people find out more about that?
Yes. If you go to leadfunnelscale.com/marketing, I have it. It's a challenge that you can sign up for that is evergreen. So you jump into it when you can, and it walks you through really in depth the steps that I talked about, of understanding your ideal client, speaking to them, coming up with a plan, and then monetizing what you're doing. And that's really the most important thing, because if your marketing isn't generating money, then you're wasting time. You need to find something else to do.
100%. And the word that you said before that rings true with this is being intentional.
Intentional.
And I think rather than just being chaotic, I believe done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And we need to be intentional. And so for people to have a greater intentionality, jump into Jennifer's 5-day revenue blueprint challenge, leadfunnelscale.com/marketing. That's going to be amazing. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for being on the show. God bless everyone. We'll see you next week.